in life. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith. Now I believe. Oh, better. Oh, better. Oh, there comes a time when everything just falls in line. We live and learn from our mistakes. The deepest cuts are healed by faith.
Welcome to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and before we get to anything else, we have to give ourselves kudos for the telethon that we broadcasted. Jim.
It was great.
We went 8 hours. How many minutes, Jim?
4 minutes.
How many?
8 hours and 4 minutes.
8 hours and 4 minutes.
But who's counting?
Without one single major glitch. I mean, remarkable. Remarkable. Great. So we cannot wait to. I honestly am just 80% recovered. I haven't fully recovered from the telethon yet. It was intense, but it was worth every single thing that we've done. It just, hang on one second, I just have to lower this. It was incredible, and we're so grateful to all of the guests and doctors and just the speakers. Everybody was so remarkable, and of course I have to give thanks to my team, my board, and the foundation team and the telethon team. Without them, nothing could have been possible. So Jim, thank you so much. Honestly, thank you. And a special thank you to Jim. A special thank you to my board, Judy, of course, and Virginia, and just everybody on the board. Everybody on the board. And then also a special thank you to Michelangelo, who does the back end stuff with me, with the opening and the closing, and it was just extraordinary. So I have to give everybody kudos. Today is thank you, Jim. Thank you. Today is really a good day. It's going to be a very interesting, out of the box show, I think. I've been working with a colleague of mine, Andrea. It's hockey. It hockey? Is that how you say it?
Yeah.
It's hockey.
It hockey. I'm getting it. It hockey. Anyway, her and I have been working for, it's got to be at least 5 or 6 years together. She was looking for someone to create her websites, and then her PowerPoints and social media. And of course, through the process, we got to be very dear friends. But she's just a remarkable person. She cares and really deeply wants to help people. So I thought that it would be very interesting to partner with her and help those that have suffered strokes. And what do you do when you suffer a stroke? What does the family do for your home? Everything has to be changed around. Everything needs to be moved, right? I mean, you have to really simplify home because you want the patient or the survivor to feel very welcome there. So we really look forward to discussing with Andrea, her thoughts and her visions, because she is a home stager and designer, and her and I have worked for many years together, and I've seen what she does, and it's just remarkable. The other guest we have, special guest we have, by the way, hi, Judy.
Hi.
I'm sorry, I was in the telethon mode. How are you, Judy?
I'm great, and you?
Good. Thank you for always being a part of my world. And without Judy, these shows could not happen. They could not happen. Judy books.
It's my pleasure.
Writes the press. She till the last second, right, Chris? To the last second, she is like engaged and really doing her work. So thank you so much, Judy. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Our second guest is actually someone that Jim in the studio and Judy, you knew Chris before.
Yes, I did. I met him at a Rotary meeting at the Comac Rotary Club.
Wow. So Chris, how do you say your last name? Galuzzo? Galuzzo. He must be Italian. Are you Italian?
I'm Italian. I may
Galuzzo. I like that.
I'm not like Jim Savali looks Italian. I'm not necessarily looking Italian.
So Chris had a really interesting story, which we're going to let him share. He was on our show, I think it was back in February, right before the pandemic. And we did a show called Listening to Your Inner Voice. Chris listened to his inner voice, and he went to the doctors, and we're going to find out once again what his inner voice was telling him and how correct he was and how you should listen to his inner voice. But I thought that it was important to bring another piece into this show because, of course, we have Andrea, who's a designer, home staging, but I really wanted to get a real estate mogul on, and that's Chris. Chris is a licensed associate real estate broker at Galuzzo Team Signature Premier Properties in Comac, New York. And Chris aside from being a great real estate broker, he is really a kind and generous and really gentle soul. And we're so happy to have you on, Chris, as well.
Thank you for inviting me. Looking forward to a great time.
Yes. So, Judy, let me let you speak first since I missed welcoming you to the show. What did you think when I shared with you, like, oh, let's invite Andrea onto the show about to do a little bit of recovery for someone that has a stroke, like what you can do with their house. What did you do with your father? Did your father go at home, or did your father go into a nursing home right away?
Well, because he had a hemorrhagic stroke, which is a bleed in the brain, and he was paralyzed on his entire left side of his body, I really had no choice. They told me he could not go home, so we had to find a nursing home. And I searched all over the island to find the best nursing home, and I got him there, and I went there every day, 6 hours a day, to make sure everything was going right.
Wow. Well, you were an incredible caregiver to your father. You went there every day, and just in our world, love is the answer. Love, you have to love them first. You have to love them through it. It's really important.
And I just want to stress the reason I was there so many hours. Every nursing home is short-staffed, even the best. Right. So it's a very good idea to, maybe not for 6 hours a day, but I did it 6 hours a day, but to keep an eye on what's going on with your loved one.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true. And we always say that you should, you need to build that team of people around you before something happens, so that when it happens, you're ready and willing and able to go through it. Andrea, hi, good morning.
Yes, hi, good morning. Thank you for having me on the show.
Oh my God, yes. We've been trying to do this for a while, and it's just finally worked today.
Yeah, true.
tell us a little bit about yourself, and then talk to us about Andrea Design Concepts. I mean, that's how we came together. Also, your jewelry, which we'll talk about later on. But tell us a little bit how you got to create your business.
Sure. I guess from a young age, I was moving things around the house and trying to make the house look better. And I decided to study interior design, which I did while living in Israel. And then we moved to the US, and I decided to pursue becoming a certified home stager. I saw a need for people to get their houses ready for sale or get their houses ready for any kind of situation. As we said, coming home after having an incident or a stroke is very hard, and it's something you need to adjust to. And I do love helping people. I love what I do, so I'm very passionate. And I do see a big difference in people's lives, changing their furniture around, maybe applying a new paint color, small little changes that can really make an impact. And I've been doing that for the last 6-7 years. In between, I was also creating a jewelry line, which I'll talk about on a different show, please God.
So everybody knows I had created 2 websites for you, your Andrea Design Concepts, which actually Chris is looking at, and he actually showed it to us. Chris, I created that. Well, actually, I got to tell you, I didn't create it. We created it. And that really is the gift of Andrea and I, because we work together on things. It's not like, here, do this and you have to do it. I create stuff, and then she puts her input, and we really work back and forth very well together on a lot of stuff.
Renee, mention the website one more time.
My website or her website?
Andrea's
website. Andrea, give your website designs.
Sure. It's AndreaDesignsConcepts.com. But I do want to say that meeting Renee 5 years ago changed my life. She's just a ray of sunshine, energetic and creative, and she was dedicated to transform my website and my business, and she's always there for me. So I'm very, very thankful to have her in my life.
Thank you. But so am I. I'm blessed to have you as well. But for the jewelry line, Andrea has such wonderful pieces of jewelry, which are like art, and she gets some from Israel as well. Is that the designers from Israel? And now, because she's so busy with her Andrea Design Concepts, she is not moving forward with her jewelry line. So we decided to partner, and we're going to pick 12 or 10 or 12 pieces, and we're going to highlight them throughout the holiday season. We're going to sell them, and then the foundation will get a portion of the proceeds as a gift. So you'll be helping others by purchasing. So we cannot wait to do a show about that. So thank you so much, Andrea. So Chris, are you there?
I am here.
So give us a brief synopsis of your story of your inner voice.
Yes. So approximately 5 years ago, I was having heart issues, a little pounding in the chest after exerting, long workouts. I was a soccer player. I was riding bikes, mountain bikes, road bikes. And after, in Montauk, after riding up a very major hill, I was getting palpitations. I thought it was just like a cough, a chest, something in my chest. But in reality, it turned out to be a 95% blockage in my main artery, which is called the Widowmaker. And it took me a while, but I went into I kind of diagnosed it. And I went into the doctor and I didn't take no for an answer. They said I was too young, which I was 50 to 51 at that time. And I was very healthy and they didn't believe me. And long story short, I went in for an angiogram because I pressured them and I had 95% blockage. And, the doctor couldn't even believe it. He was perplexed. I was eating well. I was in very good shape, but you have to be aware of your inner body.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
And also, Chris, you had the stress test, you had a number of other tests, and they all came out negative. But yet you pursued. Your inner voice said, no, I don't feel well, and I need to get this angiogram.
That is 100% right. And by the way, Renee, that song that you sing at the opening is so great. It pumps me up.
Isn't it a good song?
I love it.
I don't think it was one of Pat Benatar's hit, like her biggest popular song, but I love Pat Benatar. I do Pat Benatar tributes, and
you do it really well.
Thank you. But when I heard it, I'm like, God, that's awesome. Because there's a lot of mainstream songs that talk about faith, and the truth is, everyone knows I really don't care what faith you are, but you have to have faith in something to get through this life that's so difficult. Life is challenging, especially during this pandemic. I mean, like, if we don't have faith, if we didn't have in our families and our strength, I mean, what would we do? Where would we go? I mean, it just, so this is really an important time to have some sort of faith. And I had a friend who was a good friend of mine, and he used to say, have faith in yourself. Have faith in yourself. If you can't have faith in what I believe is God or anything, then have faith in yourself, because God wants you to have faith in yourself. So so thank you so much, Chris.
My pleasure.
So, Chris, before we get to Andrea and we ask her another question, tell us a little bit about how you got into the real estate business.
Well, I've been in it for 34 years now. I started when I was 22. I was a professional soccer player, not making a lot of money back in 1983. There was no real professional soccer going on from 83 to 87. And in 88, I went into real estate in Manhattan. Did very, very well. And about 2 years ago, my wife was doing fantastic out here in Long Island. She had a little small company, and we decided to join Signature Premier Properties. And from that day on, 2 years ago, I left my Manhattan job that I was very safe and secure and had life insurance and the 401k, but I wasn't really loving it. I was traveling 4 hours a day for 32 years. It was a big commitment. And we made the choice to join Signature Premier. And from that day on, we've been selling about 70 to 80 houses a year.
Wow.
Mostly Long Island, some Brooklyn, some Queens, and 1 or 2 in Manhattan. But generally speaking, Elena and I, and my son Chris now, and my daughter Diana just joined, and my brother Andy just joined my firm.
Wow.
We're really the Galuzzo team and doing fabulous. So...
Yeah, the gift is that once again, you were listening to your inner voice. You had to do what you had to do for many years, but then it was like, my family, I want to spend time with my family. So, and I was in a family business. I remember working with my father and my sister and my kids there and my uncle. And it really was a treasure. It really was a gift to go and be with the people you love and work with them. So don't get me wrong. I know there's probably challenges as well, but when you weigh out the differences, it is a gift. So we're so happy for you, Chris. That's incredible.
Thank you for having me on. I love this show.
Yeah. Thank you. So Andrea, what's that?
Thank you, Judy, for inviting me.
Last minute.
Yeah.
So we figured if he's not doing anything.
Chris, you're the first one that comes to mind when she talks about real estate. I want the best.
That's a good thing.
So I hope before we talk to Andrea is, I'm sure you're looking at her website now, but the before and afters, I mean, she just does remarkable work. And I'm not saying that because she's one of my colleagues. I'm saying that because in black and white, you could see the remarkable work she has done and she continues to do. And we can't wait to start, working with her, that anybody that has, needs the stroke recovery and needs her support. I mean, you'll be the first one that we just, we share with. So tell us a little bit about, like, take my house, Andrea. I mean,
Sure.
you know my house, and we were talking about this in the Zoom green room before. It's my title. I think I came up with that, the Zoom green room. Anyway, we were talking about it before, but God forbid, but if something should ever happen where I needed to, refix my house, even not even for myself, for somebody else in my family that moved in with me, what would be the first thing that you would do?
Sure. Look, God forbid something happens, but if it does, it is a good idea to prepare when your loved one comes back. And moving things around in a way that it's comfortable and accessible is really important. I think that making it also a very safe environment, and you can start from the kitchen. The kitchen is a place where things can fall out, things can be hard to reach, and you can definitely do little fixes. You can replace traditional shelving with pull-out shelving or baskets on the bottom of the kitchen. You could use more of a lazy Susan in the corners that you have access. Another good idea is to put a cart out. There's all different types of carts, and they vary, very stylish ones too, and have shelving on there and have access to things that you use every day that you don't have to start looking and opening, cabinets. I think that it's also really important to see the layout of your furniture and how much furniture is in the house, because that could be a big hazard. I find that furniture is sometimes very beautiful, but sometimes it blocks the flow. And it definitely can be really important to move things around, maybe get rid of that favorite huge oversized chair that can actually in the end not be helpful. You can just step over, or so I definitely can work with you on the layout of the furniture and all the clutter. If there's any clutter lying around, things that are trip hazards, you definitely should pick up. Another thing we'll look into is in the bathroom, if you need special hinges on the doors, maybe to make the access better. There is a hinge called a swing clear that you can put on the door. You can do a seat elevator and, on the toilet. And of course, add railing in the shower or in the surroundings. I do recommend to look also into your bedroom. If the bed is too high, maybe get a thinner mattress or reduce the box spring. Or if it's too low, there's a quick fix that you can get is some risers. Also, a nice touch would be to get some fresh new linen. That's a quick fix just to make it bright and feel good. Of course, painting the house is a quick fix. It's easy. I do paint consultations. There's many ways to go. And it does paint has many different colors, and it gives a lot of feeling and inner feeling to want to be in your house, and it definitely can make it brighter and more inviting and more cozy.
That's very true. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's fine.
The gift is, and this is what I love about you, is is, because you have to make these changes, it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It could really be an enhancement. And like you said about the carts, there's beautiful carts out there, and you could really set the house up in a really loving, beautiful way, because we all know, I'm sure yourself, Chris, and Judy know that you need to surround yourself with beauty in life. Like I said before, life is hard on the outside. So when you come home, you want to have that serenity. You want to have that comfort. You want to feel welcomed there. So it really is an important piece that that I don't think that people realize. Maybe Chris, because he is in the business, but I don't think the general population of people are sitting around thinking how important, a home designer could enhance their world. Even staging for living, because we spoke about that. That you don't even need to spend money, right? Talk about that, because you could just take what you have and move it around. Talk about that, and then we'll get to Chris.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times I shop the house, so I even go into the attic. People have pictures and things lying around that they never thought they could use, and reorganizing what you have can make a huge impact. It can make the room totally different. You could just pull out, linen, fixtures. There's all kinds of options that you can do. I think the most important thing is that you really don't have to spend a huge budget. With small, throw pillows or a lamp or something can just brighten up your house, and it's an easy fix. I also have seen, during my staging, that people say they do certain changes that I recommend them to do and paint, and they can't believe it. They say, I wish I would have done this years ago.
Right.
My house looks great. And then, somebody that is selling the house, and that's another thing you can think about. If your loved one has to go into assisted living and you need to sell your property, I'm sure Chris can help you, and I can also stage it to get it ready for sale, because there is definitely an appeal to a house that is being staged versus to a house that is not. People on the internet today, and their first impression is through pictures.
Yeah. So Chris, jump on that, because tell us about, the importance of staging when you're selling, or, when you bring your clients in to buy a house. What do they look for first?
Well, first of all, I want to just say Andrea's website, I'm on it right now, is fantastic. AndreaDesignConcepts.com. And I'm looking at the before and after photos. It really makes a difference. I mean, you can just see, and I'm just scrolled through about 10 different photos before and after, and you can see she has a great eye. She brightens up the rooms. She puts things in proper perspective, because sometimes you can't tell how big a room is when people have this huge furniture, or they're just throwing stuff into the corners. And so when a designer comes in, Andrea did a very nice job on most of these houses here. I'm really enjoying seeing the befores and afters.
Thank you, Chris.
It's so important, because you can make rooms look cluttered and small, as opposed to, and what she's done here is relocated furniture. She's moved things around. She's, just little simple tasks that she's done on many of these things make the rooms look so much nicer and larger. And that's the object of a designer.
So what do your clients say though? Like, because when I'm sure, do you go look at a house that you're going to take your clients to know what's coming when you walk in? Not a house that you're selling, but a house that one of your clients is purchasing. Do you go to it before to look at it, just to get an advanced knowing of how to tell them that, you can do this, you can do that?
So we don't preview as much as we used to do years ago. Years ago, everybody previewed and went around from house to house, but the photos now are so key. Most of these young buyers now, millennials and other age groups, look at the photos. But what we see and what I give as an expert is the value of what the room could be, how you can move some furniture around, how you can relocate different things or take down walls and make these things look better, or paint the kitchen as opposed to redoing the kitchen, removing the kitchen, putting a new countertop on. And a lot of times working with a designer is just perfect, the perfect way to go. We had a vacant house recently in Fort Salonga that the builder opened up all the walls. There was not one wall left in the whole first floor.
Wow.
So we're talking like 2,000 square feet of completely open space. So we needed a stager. We needed an interior designer to come in and redo it, because nobody can figure where the dining room was. Nobody knew where the living room was. And we needed a stager, and it came out beautiful, and it helped us sell it. We sold it for $1,050,000. We're asking $1,099,000. And without the staging, I don't think we would have sold it.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris, did you ever have a client that needed what we're talking about on the show today, that needed special help with a wheelchair or a walker, or someone that needed something that specifically you were looking for, or maybe selling a house to somebody that was needed that help?
So I have one right now in Dix Hills that I'm selling. He's a 93-year-old man, and he can't make it up the stairs anymore. So they put a chair lift in for him, but he really doesn't even want to use that. So we had to relocate him into the den and put the bed in the den. And we had to do from a half bath to a full bath. So I helped them out because the kids live in Ohio now.
Wow.
They don't have time to come home. And I had to go in there and redesign and get the contractor and do all of the help. And being a realtor is not just showing the house and closing the door. Being a realtor is getting a designer in, getting a contractor in, being an expert in your industry, getting the mortgages, that they need. So it's a lot more difficult than people think. And it's a 7-day job. This is 24 hours, a day. So being a realtor is not just opening and closing a door and selling houses and making tons and tons of money.
Yeah.
It's more about being every aspect of it. It's being helpful, being knowledgeable, and bringing the right people in.
We just lost Andrea. She'll be in a few minutes. Jim, are we going to be okay when she comes in?
Yeah, we'll be fine. We'll be fine.
What's that?
She'll be fine when she comes back.
Okay, I'll let her in. But, I know, and really you're so good at, you really need to be a people person. You need to love to make people happy. I was a real estate agent for a while. It wasn't my thing. I'm not a seller. I can't, but I am a people's person. Oh, there she comes.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
So, yeah. So, I get it. I get how intense and 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you have to work to be a real estate agent. It is, but it's so rewarding when someone gets into a home, because a home is a life, something that they're buying for their life. So it really is an important thing that you're doing, Chris. Andrea, so what about that? What would you recommend, like Chris was just saying, for someone that can't go up the steps? We used to have one of those chairs going up the rails, and for my cousin, because she had MS and she lived downstairs from my aunt, and it was not a fun thing. It wasn't a fun thing to have that in the house. So, like Chris said, what would you suggest or recommend, or, thought process to them?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the space, on the layout of the house. I would definitely try and find a more comfortable space if there's a downstairs versus going up the stairs. for somebody so, elderly, and if he's uncomfortable to use that chair, I would allocate, even if it's part of the family room, there's ways that you can divide it, if it's with furniture or maybe a partition to make it more kind of intimate, and just more safe as well, I guess, because anything can happen. I think, and you can still make the space living and livable. Maybe pull out a sofa, put it in storage. Obviously, he would need help from family members or friends, but there's different ways that you can definitely maybe pick up rugs that are trip hazards.
Right.
And just
I just wanted to add something.
Sure.
I have a friend that has Parkinson's, and it was a two-story house, and they put it in an elevator.
Wow.
And if she's using the wheelchair, she can get in the elevator, the buttons are low, and she can go upstairs.
That is an
So
option.
if that's a possibility.
It is a possibility, but you really need a big budget for that. That's, it depends on what kind of budget you're working with, and, how much you can invest.
Yeah. And, at 90, how old was your client, Chris? 92?
93.
93. So, at that age, my first thought process would be, that if they would need stuff like that, maybe they can get a reverse mortgage, to support them through that process, to be able to live, a better. Chris, I don't know, this is off the beam cuff, but are reverse mortgages tough to get?
Well, there are certain companies that do them more than others. They're not, I won't say tough. If you have equity, they're actually, the companies that do it. There are certain companies that prey on the elderly, though, that are giving reverse mortgages at ridiculous rates.
Yes.
Nowadays it should be 3%, 3.5%, maybe push it to 4% if if there's issues. But I've seen companies come in and do a 5, 5.5%, 6%. It's not fair. And they do prey on the elderly. That's the shame about it all. So that's why you need a good realtor, a good mortgage person, people to help you through this. At times it's very confusing.
Yeah.
So, that's what you need, but you need some support.
Go ahead, Andrea. Yeah.
I think wherever you can get help, I would reach out. If it's with, as you said, mortgage person, a real estate person, me coming in to stage the house, just to lift that burden off you, and know that you have people you can trust. So definitely look at references and just to feel comfortable.
We always say in my foundation, and I said this prior, and I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to say it till I'm blue in the face, is, don't wait until you need to have relationships with people. You need to build that tool belt in your around yourself, because may come a time where you need to have a designer, you need to have a real estate agent. And you don't want to wait until it's an emergency and then you're pushed into a situation where you just need to get it done. You want to research for specifically those reasons that people are, scamming. I had something happen when my father passed. I don't want to give out too many names, but one of the attorneys that we used, scammed us. He scammed us. And actually he got disbarred. So, but, we weren't, we were trusting him, so it's very challenging to do that. So I pray that people will, but, let's talk about this. It really is important to your community, right? Your community is really what you should support. And so talk about, Andrea, about, the areas that you do, the community. I know you do the tri-state area, But you've built a network in the tri-state area with doing your design.
Yeah, so I work in Rockland, Westchester, Bergen County, and some in Orange County. And there's definitely there's a different clientele in every area. I find I definitely adjust myself to the situation, and I love what I do. So I put 100% of myself into every project, small or large. And I think that's part of the value of investing in the right stager or the right realtor when they're invested in you and you have a connection. I think it's really important.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris, talk about that. Talk about your community and like how, I mean, you were talking about it before, how you really went above and beyond with this gentleman that's 93. You really had to help him, because his family lives away. So, how do you, like, I know you invest in your community, but how do you do that? Because I share with the audience.
Well, one of the things that I did, and it really paid off in just personal ways, is join the Rotary. So I met Judy at the Rotary. Rotary's a really great organization that's been around for over 100 years, and they do wonderful community-based events like charitable works. So I joined that. I'm also part of a networking group, but even bigger than that, we're involved in many different charities. We're helping all the time. It's a crazy thing, but a woman just went through a divorce that I sold her house, and the husband and her were really having trouble, and he locked her money up. He wouldn't release the money for her to buy a house. So she's been living in my house with her 2 little daughters for the last 3 weeks. So
Wow.
This is what a realtor does. This is what not even a realtor. This is what somebody with compassion.
Right.
My wife is an angel, and she is my partner, and she handles everything so well. So this woman's living in her house. She's happy. The 2 kids come in and out. And you know what? She's going to close on her house. Well, she closed on her house, but she's renovating. She'll be out of my house in 5 days. But we had to do it. We had to be there for the family.
That's amazing.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very proud of you.
Yes. And that's why we love you guys. You're, you're bigger than you. It's not about yourself. It's about other people. And that's really why you're both very good at what you do. It's about, service to others. Judy, what's the
motto is service above self.
Service above self.
Right.
We'll talk about the Rotary a little bit because I know Chris just shared, but you've been a Rotary member for years, right?
I started going to Rotary because my dad was a Rotarian. My dad was president of the Baldwin Rotary Club, and he helped found, with 2 other people, the Oceanside Rotary Club. So as a young person, as a teenager, I always went to events that had to do with Rotary or any fundraising. So I was always interested in it. I always loved it. But because later when I was working 11-hour days, it wasn't very easy to go to a Rotary meeting. But later in life, I did join the Comac Rotary Club, and I was president. And I moved up to assistant district governor in charge of 5 clubs, where I guided them with their projects and gave them advice and went to all the Rotary meetings, the district meetings, the conventions, and so on. And I really enjoyed it. And I did an international project when I was at Comac. I raised over $200,000 in equipment and supplies that we sent to the Ukraine. They didn't have dental supplies. They traveled hours to a dentist, and because there were no supplies, they had their teeth removed. Wow. So I got them dental chairs, lighting, compressors, all that. And it also I also moved into medical equipment and was able to supply medical equipment to various sites. And not just Ukraine, but it was Life University in Peru, different places.
Wow, that's incredible. Chris, I love the cart.
Yeah,
How do you do
amazing.
that?
On the bottom right, there's a reaction you can do on your computer.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
If you see that, you see the
We're all
reaction.
gonna look.
So you can
That's
put a reaction up.
because of
I
what you're
just,
saying, Judy, because of what you've done in your life. That's why he put that heart up.
Oh, okay.
I just wanted to mention, I am part of a networking group. It's called Rockland's Business Women's Network, RBWN. And we are a group of, a big group of women. It's been around for about 40 years. They just celebrate their 40th anniversary. And we do have a lot of nonprofit organizations that are part of our group. And it's very intriguing to meet all these women that have done amazing things for the community and people. And, I try and help out wherever I can.
Yeah, I mean, you both do self service about self. You're both really gifts, on this planet that we live on. Sometimes, I mean, we all know that you have to help others. That's the only way we're going to get through this life, especially the pandemic, right? The pandemic is like as devastating and as challenging and as, you know, trials and tribulations that people have suffered. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying disrespecting them for the parents that passed by themselves or died from the pandemic. A lot of reflection has come from this time, right? A lot of reflection on yourself and what you can do for others, and really simplified our life, I think, where we're back to spending time with our family and back to eating with our family. We used to do it on the run all the time, but now we're in that mode. And I think even though we're slowly getting back into the norm, even though the pandemic is still around, we kind of like we're a little laid back. We're a little, we will. I hope that everybody always remembers what you've learned from this. If we don't learn on things, we're not going to be able to move forward and be the best that we can be for ourselves. And I definitely know that all three of you are that, but I'm just sharing my thoughts for the rest of the world so that they could think about it. Just always remember, it really is important. Andrea, you used to, we talked a lot about the home, Andrea and Chris, we talked a lot about the home stager, but let's talk about the design. Let's talk about big projects, like Chris was talking about that place that was empty. What would you do with where would you begin with something like that? I would walk in and say, okay, I gotta get a designer and I can't figure this out. What would you do with that?
Well, there's definitely, you can take a space, an open space, and turn it into a cozy, comfortable space that you can use and utilize. I think the main idea is to make those conversation pieces work. So, if you were trying to create the living space, you will put down a rug to make it more cozy, and then put the sofas down. The eating space may be closer to the kitchen. It all depends on, the layout of the room, where the windows are. Light is very important too. So you can definitely, with furniture and accessories, you can definitely cut up the room in a way that it's got its own uniqueness to it.
Chris, did they put walls up? I mean, I know that they tear down the walls, but did they put walls up? Are they going to put walls up?
They will not. And we sold it to a couple that just loves it. But again, without the designer, without that home stager, it wouldn't have been sold because they couldn't figure it out. No one could figure it out. But nowadays they don't want walls. They don't want compartmentalized rooms like we did.
They want the open look.
Right. They don't want a formal dining room. They don't want a formal living room. Well, some ethnic groups do more so than the younger millennials. So you have to be careful on how much you do. In this case, they went a little overboard. They got a Manhattan group. And because of COVID, a lot of the Manhattan groups are the younger families are moving out of the city, moving out of Brooklyn, out of Queens, moving out of Hoboken and Westchester. They're moving into these, suburban communities. So in this case, we got a young couple. They wanted that Manhattan look, and they fit.
There's definitely an uptick in people looking
Wow.
in Westchester.
It's funny,
Sorry, Renee.
No, that's okay. No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna,
Go ahead.
highlight what Chris said, that there's definitely, since the pandemic, we see an uptick in people looking in the suburbs, in less populated areas where, more single family homes, people wanting to get out of the city. My husband's actually an owner in a moving and storage company called Schleppers, and we see definitely that there's a big movement into storage, people not sure what to do with their stuff, or they don't want to renew their leases, or they're moving out into the suburbs. So I would definitely agree with Chris.
Chris, do you know Schleppers? Because
I do. I used to use Schleppers when I was in Manhattan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. So
Myers and Schleppers.
Yeah, well, that's actually part of my, which is nice when somebody has to put something in storage, or if I need to move things or moving supplies, I have them very handy.
No.
Absolutely.
So we only have a few minutes left. Can you? Oh, that's
Nice.
awesome.
It's a little backwards right now, but that's it.
It's nice.
But that's funny. I'm glad you put your mask on, because, before we go, I do want to talk about doing things virtually, right, Chris? And Andrea, let's talk about how you can support people through this pandemic. Even, people that have pre-existing conditions that you can't go into their homes. I know now, the things have opened up a little bit, but some people are very adamant about not having contact because they had pre-existing conditions. So Chris, what do you do with that and with that world? Well, how do you do it?
So we were very fortunate to have some great sellers during the real COVID time. So March, April, May, when we couldn't even go into a house. I couldn't even go show a house. We had to do virtual shows. We had to have the homeowners handle the phone calls. It was very, very disconcerting, very tough, but we were fortunate to have wonderful sellers, and they actually helped sell the house. But, the state, you can actually do staging too. So you can do a photo and have it staged online on one of the websites. So we were fortunate to actually start selling. Oh, you have one. So, it's been a good run, but you have to be very careful with this. And we wear our masks, go and show houses. We have to be very careful. We tried not to have children running around the house, touching other people's toys, because that was a big issue too. Children running in and around and then going on their games or on their playgrounds. So we were only allowing adults into the homes, and one at a time. And we still do that. So one at a time, no, everybody has to form a line, 6 feet apart, of course, and they wait their turn to come into the open houses.
So when I go in and stage, firstly, I'm wearing a mask and gloves, and we also ask that there's 1 or 2 people at the most in the house at the time, for everybody's safety. So we have had families that have sat out in the yard if it's a nice day, or gone on a walk while I'm staging the house, and then they can come back. And it has been a challenge, but if somebody's uncomfortable with that, we could do it virtually, and through Zoom or FaceTime, just walking room by room. And then I can send them a list of recommendations, exactly itemized what to do, what to move, and exactly how to stage your house.
And you did that one time. One of the photos that I put up on your Facebook page, your LinkedIn page. Are you? We have to connect you guys via LinkedIn as well. Chris, are you on LinkedIn?
Of course.
Yes. So we just posted one for you that you did that remotely, and you said that the clients were wonderful. They did exactly what you had recommended, and they sold their house, I believe.
Yeah, it was true. It was amazing. I did two of them, and two or three of them actually, and they actually listened to everything I said. If it was even small object, they moved everything, put away stuff, moved the furniture to where I suggested, and all of them probably closed in, got an offer within probably like 2 or 3 weeks, but with the pandemic, things were just slower.
Yeah.
And now people are feeling more comfortable to come into homes. I feel there is a level of comfort, but still we have to keep all the social distancing and masks and everything.
Right. Well, we absolutely love both of you. I mean, thank you so much for taking the time today to talk to us. And of course, if there's anybody in the Long Island area that's looking for a real estate agent, you'll be the first on Judy's list to let them know, especially if they have challenges, because we know how empathetic you are. And as far as home staging and design, Andrea, you're first on our list as well, because of your
Definitely.
because of your empathy as well, and it's just, it really is. I mean, you're on our team. You're both a part of what we think we need to do, and that does not that does not rule out anybody else in the world. We just, we love to make sure that those that we're sending people to, we're sure that you'll be the best, that those families will get the best that they need, because a stroke, we know when someone suffers a stroke, it's so challenging. I mean, just the initial the initial feeling of the families that someone has suffered a stroke. They don't know what's the futures to hold. So if we can give them any support through the process, that would be amazing to help them. So we're so gifted to have both of you.
And I just want to say that Chris and Andrea, you are members of our family. Once you come on the show, you're always welcome back.
Thank you, Judy. Thank you for having me. It's been amazing.
And I'll give you a date, Andrea. I have a few dates that I could suggest to you.
Yeah, and maybe we could do a special show with Andrea's. I'm sure Jim, I'm looking at him online. We could set something up special for to do the holiday boutique for the highlighting of jewelry.
Sure.
Chris, wait until your wife. You got to bring your wife on that show.
All right.
Your wife will love the jewelry, and so will yours, Jim. And so will you, Julie. You know what? We better have more than 10 pieces in the backdrop.
Right, it's going to go fast.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Before we go, thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're really gifted to be able to come into your homes, and we hope that we bring a little bit of hope and a little bit of comfort into your lives. So we're gonna roll out in 2 seconds. So we always blow kisses, and we will be back on the air in a few minutes with, of course, our board members Alicia and Ginny and Judy, and we're going to be talking about a lot of really exciting stuff, especially World Stroke Day. World Stroke Day is October 29th, where we just want to bring the world together. And you know that our motto is that we're lifting our voices and changing the face of stroke and aphasia locally and around the globe. So that's our motto. We never thought small. We don't think small. Sorry. So on always blow kisses. 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody.
God bless you all.
Chris, can we see the mask one more time?
Mi amor, yo no entiendo por qué tú haces nada. Solo que
Definitely. Love it.
Have a great day, everybody.
You too. Thank you.
Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti, no me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón está vacío, como si tuviera ayer. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. Usted está en mi sueño por la noche. Por favor, no peleemos. Y es tan difícil para mí y para ti. Dios, ¿qué puedo hacer? No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír llorar. No me puedes escuchar sin ti. Mi corazón está sufriendo. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti. No me puedes oír. No me puedes escuchar.